Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and we are live super early in the morning. It's 1:34 a.m. here on True School Sports. We came to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, there's a lot to talk about, and I know this is a bit of a weird time, so most of you are probably sleeping right now, but you'll see this shit when you wake up. A lot of stuff to talk about in the heavyweight division, so we're gonna get to that in a second. Let me just get this article in front of me and let for some of you guys to funnel in here. My main man Henry Brown, he said, "Let's go, champ. What's up, bro? How you doing?" I just got back in from a long 5-mile run to the beach. I'm getting my body and my stamina ready. I'm sparring for the first time in a year and a half on Monday at the Heavyweight Factory, so that should be fun. So yeah, gotta make sure I'm ready for that. But speaking of boxing, today's big news in boxing is Deontay Wilder. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. On the eve of Anthony Joshua's American debut, which by the way figures to be one of the biggest heavyweight boxing debuts this country has seen in quite some time. Deontay Wilder decides to try to throw a wrench into the party by announcing that he signed a deal to the previous day he announced a deal to fight Luis Ortiz. We knew about that. We knew about the rematch. So shout out to him for that. But then Deontay Wilder has now confirmed that after Luis Ortiz, he will in fact be fighting the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. So what do we make of this here on True School Sports? We make of it. This is what I make of it, okay? If it is true, which I have my doubts, I have my reservations about believing anything that comes out of Deontay Wilder's mouth, especially when you consider the timing of it, that the fact that it's on the eve of Anthony Joshua's American debut. I have a hard time taking it very, very seriously. But here, I'll read you guys a tweet. If you guys didn't see the tweet he had earlier on. I'll read you guys a tweet. So here's what Bronze Bomber said in regards to this, in regards to fighting Tyson Fury after Luis King Kong Ortiz. He said, I quote, "Well, as I always say, I'm the realest champion in the business. And as I've mentioned before, I must handle all my controversial fights ASAP. Luis King Kong Ortiz is first, and then Tyson Fury is next." Now, Luis Ortiz first of all, Luis Ortiz was not controversial. It was not controversial whatsoever. So I don't understand. I really don't understand where he gets off saying it's controversial. I'm not saying it's controversial. You're not saying it's controversial. There's nobody in the world that's saying it's controversial. The only semi-controversial things were that Wilder got too much time and he hit the guy in the back of the head. But other than that, I think he beat him pretty fair and square. So with that being said, we should be moving on from Ortiz and giving the fight fans and the fight game the fights that they want. But this is all a ploy from the Team Wilder to try to position themselves to get as much money as possible. Now, I will say this. If they destroy Luis Ortiz like I think he should, because he has gotten better mentally, he has gone to another level. If he destroys Luis King Kong Ortiz, and then let's say he beats Tyson Fury, then damn, we have to take Deontay Wilder a little bit more seriously. But in the meantime, until he beats Tyson Fury, we're just going to call him for what he is. A ducker and a man who is in a witness protection program for boxing. Now, he's got to get past King Kong Ortiz, and then once that happens, Tyson Fury is going to school him, and he's not going to fight Joshua. So basically what I'm hearing from Wilder is you're going to fight Luis Ortiz, and you'd rather get outboxed and outclassed by Tyson Fury and lose your O than fight Anthony Joshua. You hear that? You hear that? He'd rather lose his O and get his ears boxed off again in worse fashion again by Tyson Fury. So I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know what they put in the water in Alabama, but whatever it is, man, it's clearly got some duck in it, because that's what Wilder's doing. He's doing a lot of quacking and a lot of ducking at the moment. So did himself, again, I would agree with my man PC Jacob. He did himself a disservice, but I want to get to that super chat. I saw a super chat. My man Henry Brown, first of all, Henry, thank you for the super chat. Any of you out there who want to super chat and support the channel, feel free to do so. Here's what Henry said. He said, "You think an upset tomorrow? I hope not. I just got the zone. I think Wilder's going to make fans not interested in the fight with AJ." I don't think Joshua is going to get upset tomorrow. I think it'll be a good, hard fight for 6 rounds for Joshua, but I believe the maturation he showed in his last couple of fights will get him through. I'm really hoping that we see a sensational performance from Anthony Joshua, because I think Anthony Joshua, his last couple of performances that he's turned in, he's been lacking that, those sensational performances. So we need that from him, because, when we look at this fight with Ruiz, the fight before that he fought Povetkin, and he finished the fight very, very good, and I'm actually going to rewatch that fight before I go to bed. Look, he finished the fight really good, but early on he struggled. Before that, Parker was a horrible fight. The referee didn't let Parker walk on the inside, so that was a boring fight. And before that, he fought Carlos Takam. So, he as much as he's maturing, as much as he's winning, I want to see a sensational performance from Anthony Joshua. And that's going to be a tough thing to ask because of the guy he's fighting in Ruiz. Ruiz is a good fighter. Parker beat him by the hairs of his chinny chin, and people thought Ruiz was robbed. So he's looked at by many as a guy that is heavyweight champion. Damn, Henry, you really feeling generous. Jesus. Hello, super chat. Let's see. Wilder won't even fight White. He may lose WBC. I agree, man. He wants no smoke with Dillian White. I believe I saw something where it said that Dillian White has been the WBC mandatory for like 565 days or something like that. So, it's not something he wants to do, but it is. It is what it is. Noise Rose, he says, why is he fighting the same people over and over again? Is he trying to lose his belt? I mean, look, the way I see this, there's 2 ways to look at this, okay? So you can look at it from the optimistic side of things and say, well, if he beats, let's say if he beats Ortiz in more devastating fashion the second time around, and then he goes ahead and he stops Fury, let's say he knocks both these guys out, then his value would go up and he'd be in a better position to negotiate 50-50 because of the fact that Tyson Fury has never lost. Tyson Fury, by many, including myself, is viewed as the best heavyweight out there, and that would be a quality win for him. So that's one way of looking at it. Now, if you're someone like myself who thinks that Fury is going to box his ears off, then I look at this as basically him conceding and saying, look, I'm not ready for Anthony Joshua. I can't beat him, and I'd rather fight Tyson Fury and get my ears boxed off by him than lose the belt to Anthony Joshua and allow him to become undisputed. That's what I'm getting from this. I'm not getting ambition. I'm not seeing any statement of intent that he wants to be great, that he wants to validate all the words he stated in the past, that he wants to be one face, one name, one champion, all that bullshit. So I'm going to get into this article here in a second, but a couple of things I want to say before I move on in this live. A couple things. Number one, okay, you guys are going to be spoiled today. June 1st is going to be a busy day today. This will be the first of 3 lives today. You guys are going to get 3 lives. You're basically going to spend the whole entire day with me today. Okay, so we're live right now. We'll do that going. Then, also, if you're in, I don't know how many of you guys are here from the UK, but if you're into soccer, if you like the Champions League, I'm gonna be live for the Champions League final between Tottenham and Liverpool. So that'll be at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and then obviously we have a live fight reaction for Joshua versus Wilder. So you guys are getting 3 lives today from your boy BT. So that's reminder number 1. Second reminder is what else was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say, but so I guess I'll just move on. But make sure you guys hit that like button, smash that like button. Make sure you guys smash that like button, so YouTube knows that y'all rocking with your boy BT and True School Sports, and that this video gets to as many people as possible. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, do all that good stuff. But let's get into the article. Okay, so I got an article right here from CBS Sports. Big shout out to CBSSports.com. So here's what it says. All right. So we're looking at, you would be led to believe that, from what I'm reading here in the article, basically we know that Ortiz versus Wilder is rumored to take place in September. So if that takes place in September, then you would be led to believe that Fury versus Wilder, the rematch, is going to take place within the first quarter of 2020. So we're looking at the first 3 to 4 months if Wilder can get past what he's got to get past in Luis Ortiz, and if Fury can get past Tom Schwartz on the 15th of June, and any fights he may have coming up after that. So these guys still got to win their fights, and those are no gimmies. You know, we've seen crazier things happen in boxing, but I just found the timing of it, like Deontay Wilder, like y'all can hate Eddie Hearn. Like I know there's some people in here that hate Eddie Hearn, they hate matchroom boxing, they hate the zone, but at the same time, it's like you gotta. Eddie Hearn tells the truth, man. Like in a lot of cases, he's told the truth, and one of the truths that he's been saying is that Deontay Wilder has built his whole profile, his whole career off of Anthony Joshua, off the back of Anthony Joshua, and because he's built it off the back of Anthony Joshua, you know, he's been someone that has. I'll get to you in a minute, Lost One. Because he's built his reputation on Anthony Joshua, he's even gone so far as to now announcing fights the night before Anthony Joshua fights. Like it's real petty stuff. It's real, like, to be blunt, it's real bitch behavior by Deontay Wilder. Like why can't you just be good enough to make it on your own, to build it up yourself? I mean, people always want to say, well, Anthony Joshua is only going to sell Madison Square Garden because all the UK fans. But the sad part is, America is a bigger country than the UK. We should be behind our American champion. But a big problem why a lot of Americans haven't gotten behind Deontay Wilder. One, for the majority of his career, he hasn't fought many people. That's number one. Number two, you know, he's not fighting nobody. That's one. Two, he's ducking the most important fight out there. Like, at this point, if you can't at least admit that Wilder is ducking the Anthony Joshua fight, then you must be brain dead. Like, you must need to drink more water or take more vitamins or I don't know what you got to do, but you got to do something, because it's as clear as day. It's as clear as day for anybody to see. So, I mean, this was expected, because even before this, at the Tyson Fury Tom Schwartz press conference in the UK before he came to America, I remember Frank Warren saying that they want to try to get Fury versus Joshua on network television here in the States, if they do a rematch. So that would probably be the only consolation to all this. Henry Brown says, let's get a fantasy fight series going, fam. What do you mean by that? I know you mentioned something about it. Let's get a fantasy fight series like they do with basketball and football, plus a fighter analysis breakdown series. Yeah, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that, man. We should definitely start breaking down some of these fighters a little more thoroughly here on True School Sports. Lost One says, yo, True School, you're up late on the Echo Falls tonight? Nah, man, I'm not drinking no Echo Falls. I got water, some good old H2O. Nonsense. How can you duck Joshua by taking a tougher fight? The same way Mikey Garcia could duck Lomachenko by taking a tougher fight when he moved up and fought Earl Spence. You know, you'd rather, if you are going to lose, you'd rather lose to somebody else than lose to the guy that's your main rival in the division, that your whole fight and career will be based upon. It's the same thing. I mean, obviously, you know, he's not moving up a weight like Mikey, but in principle, it is the same thing. Mikey Garcia didn't want to fight Lomachenko and lose to him 135 because that's the fight that people were going to judge his career off, basically. And with you know, if he'd rather sell his O to Earl Spence, make a bunch of money, cash out, and then move on with his career than fight you know, someone like Lomachenko, get embarrassed, and people say, okay, well, he wasn't as good as we thought he was, you know? At least if he loses to Earl Spence, then they can pat him on the back and say, you know, he was brave, he was courageous, but he was expected to lose, and then his stock can still go up as it did. He went to full 12, and he can still be in a big, important fight as he's slated to be in one soon against Danny Garcia and get another pay-per-view. So that's what I mean with Wilder. Now, for those of you who are here right now, the 18 of you that are here, I just want to let you guys know, apart from talking about this particular, you know, this news, this big breaking news today, which is, you know, the fact that Wilder is now fighting Fury in a rematch, which is good news. I'm happy for it, because I want Fury to school the shit out of him, because it's gonna happen. Fury is the best heavyweight in the world. He's gonna prove it when they do the rematch. But aside from that, one thing I wanted to tell you guys, I was actually planning. I'm gonna rewatch a couple of Anthony Joshua fights right here while I'm live with you guys, and I'm gonna talk about them, and I'm gonna dissect them, and I'll probably rewatch the Andy Ruiz Parker fight if I can find a video of it. So we'll be up. I'm gonna be here for a while, and then I'm gonna go to sleep, take a long ass nap, wake back up. We'll be live for the Champions League finals. So if you guys are into soccer or football, I'll be here cheering my ass off for Tottenham to beat Liverpool, and then we'll be live again tonight for Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz. So it's a fun-filled day here on True School Sports. Okay, I just got back in from running. I ran 5 miles. I'm getting my body right because I'm sparring at the Heavyweight Factory for the first time in 18 months. So I got to make sure my stamina's on point. But let's see what you guys are saying down below. I want to make sure I get to all your comments. Now, my man Henry Brown says, I start with my donation for this series. All right, Henry. Well, Henry, what I'll ask you is this: what fighters do you want me to break down? Maybe I'll watch a couple of their fights while we're here. Wilder and Fury promised to freeze Joshua out. Now you're seeing that happen. Joshua's career needs a big fight, and he's not getting one. Well, I made videos about that. I made videos saying, I remember there was a period of time where I said Fury and Wilder don't need to necessarily fight Joshua. I mean, we'd want that ideally, but they could fight a second time, and if the second fight is good enough, they can do a trilogy. And honestly, that's not too far from being a reality. So it's not like I haven't said this before in the past if you've been watching me. John, pound for pound boxing, the best. Bro, you're one of my favorite channels, but I'm sure you've been watching boxing long enough to understand big fights never get made when we want it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Unfortunately, it's very rare. 5 miles is good. Are you in the amateurs? No, I'm not in the amateurs, bro. I really want to start sparring again, just for the love of the sport, and just to stay in shape. I want to get to another level of fitness, and I want to take my confidence as far as being a more confident person. I want to be able to become a more confident person. So I feel like sparring would help me become more confident in my life. So that's what I'm doing. I'll be sparring with my main man Kanan, who is not a pro himself, but he sparred a bunch of pros, and he's a friend of mine. And then eventually I want to build myself up and build my fitness up to where I want. There's actually a couple of pros that I want to spar that are around my weight and size. I'll name them for you. I want to spar Derek Cuevas, who's a welterweight prospect. He's like 19-0. He trains at the Heavyweight Factory. And I want to spar Logan Yoon, who was like 170 and something as an amateur, and he's 16-0 as a pro. So these are the guys that I want to build up to spar, and I gotta. That's gonna take a while. So that's where I'm at right now. But I haven't sparred for like a year. So, how the hell would you be supporting Tottenham? Well, I'm not necessarily supporting Tottenham. More so, I'm supporting Liverpool losing, because I'm a massive. If you don't know, I mean. If you haven't been watching me, if you don't know this shit already, I am a massive supporter of the real club on Merseyside, Everton, the great Everton Football Club. So if you're an Evertonian like I am, you don't want Liverpool to win a damn thing. So that's why I'm supporting Tottenham. KOD Testimony, what's up, champ? How you doing? Jimmy Brown, I agree. They promised to freeze him out, and they did. Joshua got no one to fight. Sounds good. Yep. So that's where we're at. You guys down below, you continue dropping your comments down below on what do you think of this whole Wilder rematch with Fury. Ideally, I'm happy about it because it's gonna give Wilder. If you want to be optimistic, you want to be positive about it. It's gonna give Wilder time to. I guess try to develop more as a fighter. He pretty much is what he is. So he's not going to change much more. As for Fury, Fury's going to have this fight against Tom Schwartz. And then, after that, after he has this fight with Tom Schwartz, then, he should be ready for a Wilder fight. And I've always said, a focused, fully fit Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight in the world, and he's going to prove that in the rematch. That's why I'm saying he'd rather get his ears boxed off by Tyson Fury than potentially get knocked out by Anthony Joshua and let him become undisputed. So, it is what it is. And mind you, I'm saying these things I'm a fan of Tyson Fury. I like Tyson Fury more than I like Wilder, more than I like Joshua. I think he's going to slap both of them up whenever he fights either one of them. So I'm saying this as a Fury fan. I think Wilder he'd rather lose to Fury because he respects him more than lose to Joshua, because he wouldn't be able to live that down. So yeah, right now I'm patrolling Twitter, seeing what the boxing world is saying about this, seeing if I find anything of note, of interest. But yeah, let's see. Live chat. What are you guys saying? I really like the Joshua versus Takam fight. Yeah, I'm actually probably gonna rewatch that right here on live with you guys while before I go to bed. So we're gonna do that sometime here in the next 10 minutes or so. Get that started. My fighter suggests Gennady Golovkin versus Steve Rolls, Josh Warrington versus Kid Galahad. So these are the fighter breakdowns you want to see. So okay, I can't really break down Josh Warrington versus Kid Galahad, because I'll be honest with you, I need to get deeper into the tape of both fighters, particularly Kid Galahad, because I haven't watched a lot of his fights. But as far as Golovkin versus Rolls, I can break that down for you right now if you want, Henry. You know, Golovkin versus Steve Rolls is going to be one of those fights where, I'll say this, Golovkin is an interesting place because he's 37 years old. He's fought a certain way for so long. And now he's with Jonathan Banks, who's going to try to refine that style and bring some new things out of Gennady. And that's going to be a challenge, you know. If you watch how Gennady's even hitting the pads, right? If you watch his media workouts, Gennady's, you know, he seems to be flowing a lot more, you know, employing a bit more head movement, you know, trying to work more on his footwork, which it's not, his footwork isn't horrible. He's got good footwork, but it looks like Jonathan Banks wants him to be a bit more, employ a bit more movement. And then also, one thing you got to understand with Gennady is, Gennady coming from the summit at Big Bear with Abel Sanchez, he sparred with a lot of cruiserweights, guys that were bigger than him. So he loads up a lot of punches, and he's very heavy-handed. So I think what Jonathan Banks is trying to teach him is to shorten up his punches. You know, shorten up his punches, kind of, you know, not load up as much and not be as like long with his punches. Because sometimes, you know, Gennady can get a little bit long with his punches, and I think Jonathan Banks is trying to show him how to move a little bit more, use the ring a little bit more, and shorten his punches up and not be so, you know, not load up with them so much. So they got him a safe opponent against Steve Rolls, a guy who's untested at the top level of boxing, a guy that is moving up, not moving up, but like moving up to this stage of boxing where he's never been before, and he's older. This is a guy that's his best exploits as a fighter are sparring with David Lemieux, Adonis Stevenson, some of the top guys in Canada. And Steve Rolls is a good fighter. Like he's a good talent, but he's the right opponent for Gennady Golovkin, who will in fact be testing the waters in this fight as far as movement, as far as speed, as far as, you know, making sure that he's not loading up as much, because sometimes, because he fights these bigger guys and he's used to sparring these bigger guys like Murat Gassiev and these bigger cruiserweights, he has to basically load up, and that's what he's used to. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, you know, with Jonathan Banks. You know, obviously it'll take some time to bed in the style he wants for Gennady, but it should be a fight where we do see some positives from Gennady. We do see him using the ring a little more. We do see him, you know, shortening up his punches a little more, not loading up as much. And as for Steve Rolls is a fighter that moves pretty well from the tape I've seen on him. And Gennady will be pressed to cut the ring off and break him down and show that extra bit of quality to get him out of there. Not that Steve Rolls is a great fighter or anything like that, but because he's fighting a new, he's got a trainer trying to show him some new things. He's fighting a guy who is a bit elusive, and you know, there's a lot of moving parts of Gennady. So it'll be a slightly more difficult fight than people think, but it is one where he should dominate. So yeah, Gennady Golovkin should have no problems with Steve Rolls. Let's see. Did you hear Mark Breland, Wilder's trainer, said this morning, Ring Magazine, that Wilder has the ability of himself when he was 11? That says it all. It must be giving him headaches. Oh, you're saying that Deontay Wilder isn't as talented as Mark Breland when Mark Breland was 11? Is that what you're saying? Triple G ducked Billy Joe Saunders the other day. Was pretty disappointed to hear that. Well, that's not a fight right now, because you gotta understand. Like I think Gennady should fight Billy Joe as well, because Gennady has no belts, and that'd be a good fight for him. But with Billy Joe, it's like, you know, right now that was a bad fight for him back then, and it's still it's an even worse fight for him now, because one, he's older, and two, you got a trainer that's gonna try to show him some new things. So until he gets that style bedded in, they won't even consider that fight. And even when Jonathan Banks teaches Gennady whatever he's trying to teach him, it's still not a guarantee that I'll even consider that fight, because Billy Joe is a good fighter. It is a tough style for Triple G. Let's see. Henry Brown, more suggestions. Francisco Pantera versus Paul Highland, Jamal Charlo versus Brandon Adams, and Daniel Dubois versus Nathan Gorman. So again, you named a couple fights where I'll be honest with you, I have to get more into the tape. But as far as Dubois versus Nathan Gorman, that's a great fight, because with Dubois, you know, when I look at Dubois, now I want you to understand something. I'm not saying that Dubois is as good as Anthony Joshua or Riddick Bowe, but he is kind of cut from the same bill of heavyweights, if you get what I'm saying. So this would be a good fight for Dubois, because Nathan Gorman's a fighter who I believe is on the level of a Dubois, who maybe doesn't have the technical prowess or raw punching power of a Dubois, but he has the gas tank, the work rate, and he has good enough punching power to make this an interesting fight. So I think for Dubois, his jab will be very tested in this fight. I think his toughness will be tested in this fight. I think his stamina will be tested in this fight. But ultimately, I rate Dubois. I've always rated Dubois since the day I first saw him fight. And I think it's a fight where he's going to have to have learned at this point how to have set things up, because Gorman's a tricky fighter. And Gorman knows, Gorman moves, he throws like a lot of punches, and that's what he's going to try to do against Dubois. He's going to try to get on the inside and just make it a war of attrition to where he wears him out. And, I think he's got a great chance of doing that. He's a talented fighter. That, to me, is one of the best fights in British boxing right now, is Dubois versus Gorman. Let's see. As far as the other fights you mentioned, you said Jamal Charlo versus Brendan Adams. Again, I'd have to get more into tape on Brendan Adams, but I do know that that's a fight where, Brendan Adams is someone that is an average puncher at best, a solid puncher, but nothing special. Charlo should be able to look good and showcase his skills, because he's coming off a fight where I think against Korobov, he learned a lot in that fight. People always want to slag him off for the Korobov fight, but I think the Korobov fight was the greatest thing to ever happen in Jamal Charlo's career, because he was in there with a experienced middleweight with a lot of amateur pedigree on short notice, so he had time to prepare for him, and he had to show adjustments. He had to show boxing IQ. He had to show the ability to keep at the end of his jab to hurt him in the later rounds. And a lot of people say that fight exposed him. I think that fight, for me at least, showed that he can fight his ass off, and he's not like his younger brother, his less talented brother. He actually has more dimension to his game. So I look at the Brendan Adams fight as a showcase fight, but then again, I'm saying this with a bit of ignorance because I've only seen limited stuff on Brendan Adams from the contenders. So again, I have to watch more tape on that. But what I will do, my friend, is I will file these away, and I will definitely in later lives be looking to do that. I mean, like tailor tape breakdown feature, probably show the fighter their pros and cons and how they match up. Yeah, you know what, Henry, I'm gonna start doing more of that kind of stuff, because that stuff is pretty fun. But those videos take a long time to make, so I'll have to find a way how to bed that into my YouTube creation schedule, if you will. But I'll definitely do that. PC Jacob, what's up, champ? What time is the Joshua fight? Well, we're a long way away. We're a long way away from that. We're roughly like 20 hours from that. Should be around 8-9 p.m. something like that on the zone. Jay Rio, what's up, champ? How you doing? Good to see you. What do you think about this whole Wilder Fury thing? It's pretty interesting. Last one said Mark Breland said it himself in this month's Ring magazine that Wilder has a technical ability of him when he was 11. Well, I think that's more of a credit to how good Mark Breland was as an amateur or as a young boy, more so than it is about Wilder. Mark Breland was, people don't understand, Mark Breland was probably the greatest amateur to ever come out of New York. Like, one of my good friends is Riddick Bowe. Like, Riddick Bowe is probably my best friend one of my best friends in boxing. He's actually been working with me a lot in the gym to help me improve my hand skills, But Riddick Bowe won the New York City Golden Gloves 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. And the only person to win the New York City Golden Gloves more than Riddick Bowe was Mark Breland. He won it 5 times. So that right there to tell you just how good Mark Breland was as an amateur. But I get what you're saying. Wilder couldn't fuck with the 11-year-old Mark Breland. Oh, South Korea, what's up, champ? He said, it's like this is the plan. Whenever AJ has a fight, Wilder and Fury decide to become girlfriends and announce a fight. Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I like Fury. I love Fury, and Wilder's cool, but it seems like on the low they've kind of formed an alliance. Like, as much as I like their fights and I like Fury, these guys don't want to fight Anthony Joshua until it makes absolute 1000% financial sense for them, and they're entitled to that because at the end of the day this is the fight game, and they're not going to they're not going to. We're not, as fans, we're not going to pay for the medical bills, or if they go bankrupt, we're not going to pay for that. So they only have a short window to make as much money as possible. So if they think they can make as much money as possible by sidestepping Anthony Joshua, obviously as a boxing fan, I don't condone it, but it's their prerogative. So it is what it is, man. Is Pops coming over for the Joshua fight tonight? Yeah, he should be. He should be here. And Alex right now, my boy Alex will be like he's like 50%. He's at 50% now. He doesn't know if he's coming yet. Henry Brown, much respect and appreciation. Absolutely, my friend. Much respect to you as well. Thank you for watching me. I appreciate all you guys. Did Tyson Booth ever get in touch with you after that video? I messaged him on Facebook, and we talked very briefly, and he was cool. He appreciated it, but it wasn't anything crazy. But yeah, big shout out to Tyson Booth. I love Tyson Booth. Damn, that's crazy. I wish I got to train with Bowe. Go there every day, soak up all the knowledge. Yeah, no, Riddick Bowe. I'll tell you guys this. So, the first time I've been watching boxing pretty much my entire life, but the first time I ever picked up boxing gloves was early on in 2015. So roughly 4 years ago, when I picked up boxing. When I was 19, I'm 23 now. Or no, I'm 24 now actually. So I was 19 going on 20, and what I'll say is this, man. I've trained in a couple of gyms. Like I trained at Canino's boxing gym. Former women's boxing world champion Bonnie Canino runs the gym. That's right here in Dania. She's a good trainer, and I've trained a couple other people. But I'll tell you this, man. How Riddick Bowe isn't a trainer right now in boxing is like the biggest anomaly to me. This guy, I spent 5 minutes with Bowe. 5 minutes. 5 minutes with Bowe, and I improved like 10,000%. Like, he's that good of a teacher. And it's like, you gotta understand, too, Riddick Bowe was trained by the great Eddie Futch. Like, Eddie Futch is arguably the greatest heavyweight trainer who ever lived. I mean, we're talking about a man who trained Larry Holmes, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, and Bowe himself. And it's like, when I talk to Bowe, it's almost like I'm getting that knowledge from Eddie Futch himself. I've never asked Bowe that, honestly. He just like, cause he works at the heavyweight factory and he sits around the gym, and you know, he helps fighters around the gym, but he doesn't he doesn't go out of his way to help fighters unless they ask him for help or unless he sees something. So he doesn't like work with a fighter. But like when I go there, like if I go there when I train, he for some reason he's taking a liking to me. So I soak it up as much as possible. If Bowe tells me to do something, I do it. I listen to him because he's freaking Riddick Bowe. Like, what am I gonna tell Riddick Bowe about boxing, about being in the Lions Den? So, I'll be sparring Monday at the Heavyweight Factory sometime at night with my friend Kanan. It'll be my first time sparring since January of 2018. I haven't sparred in a long time. So, yeah, hopefully Bowe can be there for my sparring session, because I want him to like just let me know and be there in my corner, because I like Bowe. You know, I listen to him, and you know, he makes me more confident. Like, Bowe, I'll tell you a story. The other day I was hitting heavy bag, right? So I was hitting the heavy bag, right? And I'm not gonna lie to you, I got a really good right hook. My right hook is my best punch by a country mile. And Bowe was telling me that I actually punch a lot harder than, you know, my size, my weight. Like I'm 5'5", 130, solid. But I punch a lot harder than my weight. And he said, Brendan, you know, when you come in the gym, you know, a lot of times I'll listen to people hit the bag, and you know, I don't pay no attention. But when you hit the bag, it's like a different sound. You know, you hit that bag like better, harder than some of the heavyweights that come in here. And I thought he was bullshitting at first, but then I asked him again later, and he stuck with it. So, you know, it's always, you know, it gives you confidence when a guy who's as great at boxing as Riddick Bowe was, you know, tells you, you know, that you have skills. You know, so yeah. I'm trying to build myself up to eventually spar some pros in the gym. Logan Yoon and Derek Cuevas are my two targets. I'm not trying to be a fighter, but I want to get in the ring just for the thrill of it, for nothing more than the thrill of it, and testing myself and building that confidence up that I can take with me everywhere else in life. That's literally why I'm sparring. And plus, like, I don't know if any of you guys are friends with me on Facebook, but I made a Facebook post that kind of explained further in detail as to why I'm getting back into sparring. I had an incident years ago, and it kind of affected me a lot in my life, and I'm going to deal with those demons in the ring starting on Monday. So, have you asked, Mike Vick, what's up, champ? How you doing, Mike? What do you think about this whole Wilder situation, ducking Joshua? Have you asked him why he isn't a trainer? No, I haven't really asked him that. Maybe I should, because he's an exceptional. Like when I tell you he's an exceptional teacher, he's an exceptional teacher. Because he explains things in a way where he's not like talking down to you, but he's not massaging your ears as well. Like he's very balanced when he tells you something, and he has a way of like telling you these subtle things that make your punches tighter or make you more sound defensively. Is Andy Ruiz Jr. the first Mexican, not first Hispanic, to get a heavyweight title if somehow he wins tomorrow night? Because Roy Jones beat former two-time. Okay. Yeah, if he does happen to win, he'll be the first Mexican heavyweight champion, but not the first Hispanic. You are correct when you're saying. John Ruiz was the first Hispanic heavyweight champion. You're right. You're right with that. I heard James Kirkland making a comeback at Ann Wolf. I've been hearing that for years, like, but they say that, but then we never really see anything come of it. So we'll see. I think he should. You know, if he is gonna start boxing, which I don't think he should, because Canelo knocked the daylights out of him, and he's taking a lot of beatings. So I personally, I think Kirkland should hang it up. But you know, if he was to come back, I think Ann Wolf. I think Ann Wolf would be the best bet for him because he seemed to really work well with Ann Wolf. People would line up to be taught by him. Taught by him, big fighters too. Yeah, absolutely. He's just. That's what I'm saying. He really should. I mean, I told him before he should start doing boxing clinics around South Florida. You know, offer his services to different fighters. I mean, I'm telling you, like, there's certain things about boxing, as far as being in the ring and fighting, that I never quite understood until Riddick Bowe got in my ear and started telling me things. So he's improved me a lot. And I haven't listened. I've only been hitting the bag, and he's been telling me just different combinations and, you know, moving my head and how to move my head better. But I haven't even sparred one round at the heavyweight factory yet, and I feel like I'm already a better fighter before I step in there on Monday. So that's the kind of confidence Riddick Bowe will give you as a trainer, which is why it's crazy to me that he's not a trainer. Isn't Bowe punch drunk? Yeah, but I understand Bowe perfectly. I understand him perfectly. I understand every word that comes out of his mouth. Wasn't Andy Ruiz born in the U.S.? Yeah, he was born in California, but he is of Mexican heritage, so it will count. What does Holyfield think of Wilder ducking AJ? Well, I haven't. Holyfield rates Wilder a lot, and he actually. What's funny is, the times I have talked to him, he actually says that Wilder is the one fighting all these guys, and Wilder's fighting all the tough fights. Like he said, nobody wanted to fight Ortiz, and Wilder fought Ortiz. So he's kind of on that tip, you know. But he's kind of saying, the times I have tried to ask him about Wilder versus Joshua, he has been kind of neutral in saying that these guys just need to get in the ring and fight each other. You know, he doesn't really, you know, he leans towards Wilder because he rates Wilder highly. But as far as Wilder ducking Joshua, he doesn't see it that way. And if you ask Bowe, like Riddick Bowe is the opposite of Evander Holyfield. Riddick Bowe rates Joshua. Riddick Bowe thinks Anthony Joshua is without a shadow of a doubt the best heavyweight out there. And he's often told me, like in interviews and off camera, Riddick Bowe pretty much told me that he thinks Anthony Joshua reminds him a lot of himself, as far as him being technically sound with the ability to throw combination punches at that size, you know. So he rates Joshua highly. Riddick Bowe has told me on the record that he thinks Joshua's going to beat all these heavyweights. He thinks he knocks out Fury, and that he beats Wilder in a decision. So he rates. You know, so it's differing opinions. You know, Holyfield thinks Wilder's the best. Bowe thinks Joshua's the best. These heavyweights going to screw up and take a loss, then the magic will be gone. I agree with you, Mark. That's what I think is gonna happen, and it could happen as early. It could happen as early as later on today. I'd be scared to speak out against Evander. I just agree. Yeah, that's what a lot of people tend to do. But I give Evander my take on things. Henry Brown, you think Lennox Lewis, Wilder is ducking AJ? No. Lennox Lewis is on that PBC payroll, so even if he thinks it, he's not gonna say it. You know, he's not gonna verbalize it. But yeah. So just an interesting place in heavyweight boxing right now. I've seen a lot of people, like, because the weigh-in for Joshua versus Andy Ruiz was recently. And I've seen a lot of people say that Anthony Joshua versus Ruiz is a nothing fight. They've been slagging off Ruiz because basically they're saying, well, he's fat and he looks like the fat kid from the movie Up. But, you know, he could fight, man. And the thing is, I would even venture to say, Andy Ruiz, in terms of raw hand speed, he's probably top 3 in the division in terms of hand speed. You know, I would even argue he has faster hands than Joshua. Faster hands than Joshua. Faster than Fury. Maybe just as fast, if not faster than Wilder. You know, he's got underrated hand speed. Above average punching power, and he's a solid counterpuncher as that. So this will be a good fight. I just think, though, the progression of AJ is what makes this fight not as intriguing to me, because Anthony Joshua has progressed so much in the span of his last 3 to 4 fights. Like, it's actually been astronomical how much he's progressed. You know, being able to use his jab, being able to control fights with his jab. He's learned how to win fights in many different ways throughout the course of his career. We've seen Anthony Joshua get guys hurt and finish them. Show that extra bit of quality that you need to finish fighters at all levels, whether they be journeymen, gatekeepers, contenders, or champions. He's finished them all. So he's shown that quality. He's shown the ability to win fights against world-class fighters with his jab, like against Povetkin. He's shown the ability to weather the storm in tough fights, like against Klitschko. So, and Dillian White as well for the British title. So he's someone that he has to have a lot of confidence, because when you've won fights and the different varieties he's won fights against, a level of opposition he's won fights against, it's got to give you that confidence. So I think right now, if Ruiz would have got this fight maybe last year at this time, then I could say, okay, this is really going to be a close fight. But I just think Joshua's on another level right now, and that will show itself around the 4th or 5th round. So yeah. Mike Vick, he says, I honestly think Wilder shouldn't be ducking anyone. I really believe he has a 50-50 shot. Wilder has a chin. I don't see Joshua KOing him, but I could see Wilder KOing Joshua. It's a possibility. It is an absolute possibility, man. But I'm gonna disagree with you on that last part. I think Joshua is definitely capable of stopping a guy like Wilder, with a counter left hook. I even give you the punch, counter left hook. That's what it will stop Joshua with. I remember when the guy crashed in with a parachute during the Bowe versus Holyfield fight. Yeah, the fan man, that ruined everything. Bowe, to this day, like literally every time I see Bowe and Holyfield talk to each other, Bowe to this day, every single time, will tell Holyfield, like, you didn't beat me. You didn't beat me in the second fight. You didn't beat me. I rate Ruiz, nice hand speed, decent power, but the guy has slow feet and AJ has an 8-inch reach advantage. It should be easy work for Ruiz. No way it will go over 10. Well, we'll see, man. You know, this heavyweight boxing, anything can happen. So, as much as we're sitting here saying that Joshua's going to do this and that, you know, if he lands one of them counter right hands, you know, it could be all sure for AJ. We don't know. It could change the whole course of boxing history. Why do people think Wilder's so great? I put AJ and 3 at the top. I think body type means nothing in fighting. Now, no powerlifting. People must realize we're not all built the same. All these silly comments are foolish. Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, muscles don't win fights. Skills win fights. So, you know, Anthony Joshua can have all these muscles. But as we've seen in the past, Anthony Joshua actually fights better when he comes in lighter. I'll give you an example. You remember when he was coming up as a prospect, when he was a bit skinnier, but he was still, you know, still a big guy, you know, freaking big, strong heavyweight. But you remember when he fought like Dillian White, like that kind of build, he was a bit skinnier. You know, the kind of combinations he was throwing. You know, I thought he was better when his build was more like that. But then we saw against Takum when he came at his like heaviest ever, and he wasn't as sensational as we were accustomed to seeing when he was coming up as a prospect. So, you know, it's not about muscles. You know, look at Tony Bellew. Look at Tony Bellew. Guy doesn't have the build of an Adonis. He didn't have the David Haye physique, but he beat the shit out of David Haye twice. So it's not about muscles. It's not a weightlifting contest. You know, if you want to be a bodybuilder and show off for Instagram and get your likes, hey, go to LA Fitness. You know, take pre-workout, do steroids, do what you got to do. But this is boxing, not powerlifting. Easy work for AJ. I mean, I want to say it's easy work. No, Deontay Wilder is easy work for nobody. Yeah, we all wanted to see a good fight, so hopefully that's what we get tonight. I think PBC and Top Rank can't let AJ become undisputed. They don't already own the middleweight division, and if AJ gets all his belts, only welterweights for big pay-per-view money in America. Yeah, exactly. And you gotta think of it like this, right? If Anthony Joshua won that fight and he got all the belts, right? Then DAZN would really have all the power, because they just signed Joseph Parker. They have a working relationship with Dillian White. They got Filip Hrgovic, who's coming up on the rise. You got Michael Hunter, who will be in the mix. You know, they have plenty, more than enough, more than a fair share of heavyweights, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing some as well. More than a fair share of heavyweights to make for great fights and freeze Wilder out. So they know this, and they're being self-aware. So it is what it is there. But guys, actually, I'm going to rewatch the Anthony Joshua Alexander Povetkin fight. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to risk getting a copyright strike, but you guys will hear the audio. So I'm going to pretty much just rewatch this fight, just make some observations, give you guys my thoughts, and you guys can leave your comments down below as well as to what, you know, if you guys want to watch along with me, actually, if you want to watch the Anthony Joshua Povetkin fight with me, I'll give you guys the link as to where I'm going to watch it, and you guys can make your observations and fight analysis on each fighter. Hold on. But I can't help the way that I feel, the way you make my love come down. Y'all don't know about that. Y'all too young for that. Y'all too young for that. Song stuck in my head. But yeah, there's a link. That's where I'm going to be watching the Anthony Joshua versus Povetkin fight. And yeah, so I'm watching it. You guys with the audio, so let's give it a play. Anthony Joshua versus Povetkin.
So in different opinions, you know, Holyfield thinks Wilder's the best. Bowe thinks Joshua's the best. Is that a calculated move by you? These heavyweights go in and screw up and take a loss. Then the match will be on. I agree with you, Mark. That's what makes it happen. And it can happen if the economy's building up later on today.
So I'm getting it set up right now. Give me 1 second. All right, so we're watching Anthony Joshua versus Povetkin. That's what I'm rewatching right now, because Povetkin, you know, he's not as short as Ruiz, but he's a shorter heavyweight, and I wanted to see like what went wrong for AJ in these early rounds, how he adjusted, just refresh my memory on that, because I remember around this time was when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, and I don't remember a lot about this fight because my mind was so fucked up at the time. So we're gonna rewatch it. All right, so Anthony Joshua versus Povetkin. So interestingly enough, if you watch the way Joshua's fighting in the first round against Povetkin, normally Joshua will stand straight up, but he seemed to have his chin and his body a bit more front foot dominant early on in the first round. I don't know why he was doing that, but that's something I noticed already off the bat. So right now he's just kind of feeling Povetkin out. Povetkin doing a lot of dipping to his right, and then he throws a good little right hand to the body.
It's exciting. This is it. This is the big stage. I mean, there was a roar.
See right there, Povetkin just landed a really sharp, quick jab on Joshua because Joshua leaned forward right into it. Povetkin, I mean, Ruiz can do the same things that I just saw Povetkin do there. But yeah, you guys can watch along with me. I sent you guys a link, so if you want to watch along through the first round, I'm in the first round right now. Yeah, Joshua, from what I remember watching this fight, he did excellent work with Povetkin. Excellent work. You're right, I would agree with you. My main man, two best bros out there in Birmingham. Bowe versus Tubbs. Good fight last time I was at the gym. Tony Tubbs was homeless. Sad. Should be a boxing retirement. 2% fighters purse should be. Yeah, I mean, but boxing has to get to a place where, you know, they organize that themselves. And they care enough about the fighters to want to do that. And the fighters, more importantly, got to care enough about themselves and not get caught within the vanity of keeping up with the Joneses, you know, and try to, you know, have all these cars. And I was like Riddick Bowe the other day. I was with Riddick Bowe the other day. Me and Bowe went to the shoe store the other day, and Bowe told me he used to have 26 cars. I said, how the fuck do you have 26 cars? I'm like, well, how do you like manage 26 cars? And he was telling me, yeah, it was a lot of work. But right there, like, if you watch the first round of Povetkin versus Joshua, If you keep your punches short with Joshua and you use good head movement, he's open for counters. And Povetkin didn't land any crazy counters here in the first round, but he's landed and he's scored. And Ruiz has faster hands than Povetkin. Not as quick as far as his footwork goes, but he has like faster hand speed, and I would even say he's just a bit below in punching power. So he could really do damage to Joshua if he's able to catch Joshua the way Povetkin was in these early rounds. Like right there, Povetkin cuts the distance. He goes jab, uppercut, hook, and he actually just stumbled Joshua a little bit. You know, Joshua was knocked out balance a little bit. It wasn't like a knockdown or anything like that. Povetkin showed just basically how you could get to Joshua early on. So good stuff here. Good stuff there from him in the first round. My main man, Don Flamenco, one of South Florida's very own. How you doing, champ? He says, you just jumped on. Yeah, man, we were talking about the Wilder thing earlier. I gave my take on it earlier. I would like to hear your take, Don, about what you think. God dang, Povetkin lit his ass up. He went, bop, bop, bop. He just caught his ass. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, Don, on Deontay versus Fury. Supposedly Deontay said he's fighting him next after Ortiz. He announces it the night of the Anthony Joshua American debut, so interesting timing from him. No doubt about it. And right now, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm rewatching the Joshua Povetkin fight because I want to remember how this was.
Joshua coming out with a bloody nose, and he wants to make a statement saying, hey, listen, you still got around with that last story, but I'm in control here.
So right here in the second round, one thing Joshua has already done tactically different is he's changing levels. And for those of you who don't know what changing levels is, that just simply means if you're standing straight up like this, you might come down here, or you might come up. You know, you change levels by going downstairs, upstairs, or just changing the angle of where your head is. You know, so you could be here, you could be here, and he's changing levels, and he's trying to change where Povetkin is looking as far as where he's throwing his punches. Povetkin, though, so far in the early part of the second round, he does a good job of staying composed, staying tight, not over-committing to punches. And one thing he did really good in this fight is he got Joshua's attention in the first round, and he's definitely got it again in the second round. So make sure you guys, there's 19 of you in here, hit that like button. Hit the damn like button. He did. No, he did. There you go. See, now Joshua seems to have learned from his mistakes and not scoring up too much in the first round. And now you see him jabbing to the stomach a bit more. And because he's jabbing to the stomach, as the round progresses, he's beginning to catch Povetkin a bit more up top because he's changing the eye level of where Povetkin's looking for punches. Because if you're just coming straight forward like this, right? If I'm fighting you, right? If I'm coming just coming for the head like this and throwing the same type of jab, then you're gonna figure that out eventually. But if I stand in front of you, right? And let's say I'm tight, I'm moving my head, I'm flowing my punches, and let's say I'm throwing an up jab and then I'm coming forward and I come out the hook and I'm throwing a left, you know, and I'm changing the levels of my punches and I'm showing you different looks, and that's what Joshua has been doing here early in the second round. So not a massive tactical adjustment by Joshua, but it's one that is serving him well. And this right here was these first two rounds, like, I don't think people understand this. These first two rounds of the Povetkin fight are something that you could use to show the maturation of an Anthony Joshua. Okay, yeah, he got caught early on, but now you see his legs bent a little bit more. You see him pot shotting and jabbing to the body a bit more, and setting up shots that he's landing flush up top. And then you see him darting out a position to make those punches fall short. So, yeah, honestly, I'll be honest with you. I think the Povetkin fight and the Povetkin win is probably one of the best wins of Anthony Joshua's career for a lot of reasons. Number one, Povetkin, you could argue, is the most dangerous heavyweight outside the champions with the best resume. That's number one. Number two, Povetkin is the guy that Deontay Wilder, clear as day, ducked. And we can get into that if you want. Like, Deontay Wilder ducked Alexander Povetkin and had no intention of fighting him. So Josh had to clean up that mess. So it signifies beating one of the strongest fighters who isn't a champion in the division. It signifies cleaning up a mess that Wilder didn't want to attack. And just the way he systematically, as the fight went on, broke him down, adjusted, you know, and dealt with the adversity. You know, just overall a great performance from him. But yeah, right now I'm about to get into the third round of Povetkin versus Joshua. You know, Povetkin's trainer in between rounds is asking Povetkin to set up the left hook. Povetkin did pop. You are correct when you're saying, but he was actually proven innocent in a New York State court. They took him to court. He popped from meldonium, which was banned that year, and it was already in existence the year prior. So he wasn't the only Russian athlete to test positive for that. Tons of Russians and other sports who normally take that supplement, they tested positive across all sports. And Povetkin, they went to court because Wilder's team just pulled out the fight without coming to Russia, and they never really proved that he was guilty. So that they took him to court. They took Povetkin's promoter Ryabinsky took Ludabella and Deontay Wilder's team to court, and they actually had to settle. He had to pay Ludabella had to pay Ryabinsky like $3 to $4 million because they were proven wrong in a New York State court. I did a video on that last year. So Wilder ducked Povetkin, and that doesn't get talked about enough. And Josh had to clean up his mess. But let me see what you guys are saying. No, Wilder wanted no smoke with Klitschko. You're damn right about that. Shelly Finkel wouldn't allow it anyway. Joseph Parker needs 4 more fights, then step up again. Yeah, they said the next fight for him will probably be against Eric Molina on the Andrade versus Suleki undercard. So that could be a good fight for him, you know. Molina at this point is way past it. He's not going to be able to beat someone like freaking Joseph Parker at this point in his career. Parker's a good heavyweight, man. I think Parker, if he's as serious about boxing as they've been leading on in the interviews, I think the best of Joseph Parker has yet to be seen. He became world champion at 24 years old, and I don't think he had quite settled into who he was as a fighter yet. And that's the crazy thing about Parker. I think there's still a lot of room for growth. He can still become champion again, and that's what it is. Don Flamenco, you said I think he's overlooking Ortiz could be a problem, and you think Wilder beats Fury. I mean, fair play to you, man. I think he's gonna get schooled by Fury easily, but at least we know what's happening. Lawrence, what's up, champ? My man Lawrence is here. He says, "True, I guess AJ's popularity isn't what it claims to be." What are you referring to? What are you referring to, Lawrence? I want specifics. I'm a man of clarity. Let me know why you're saying what you're saying. Lots of tickets are still available for him and versus Ruiz. Even if that is the case, it's not as much as there were for Wilder versus Brazil. He sold more tickets than Wilder versus Brazil, regardless. Tell your paper champion AJ that he wants those. Why does everybody keep saying, like, I'm not an AJ fan like that. I'm a Fury fan. Fury gonna beat the shit out of Wilder. He might stop him in the rematch. Tell your paper champion AJ. Listen, AJ's been trying to get Wilder in the year for like a year and a half now, and Wilder has just been posturing and been in witness protection. Parker signed to her, and I think he's going to fight Chisora next. But I think a good move for him would be to fight Povetkin. Possibly. I mean, I don't know. Two for one tickets sales is what he's talking about. Oh, damn. Well, hey, it's a tough market, and you know, Wilder's tickets were on Groupon, so I mean, if that's what they gotta do to try to sell the place out, that's what they're gonna do. But I do know for 1,000% fact they've already sold like 16,000, 17,000 tickets. Legitimately, not no 6,000 like Wilder, and then they give out 4,000. No, they have legitimately sold like 17,000 tickets. Hey, True, do you want to bet on that? Let me get some money up, and I'll send you my cash app. Let me get my money up before I bet anything. It's his first fight in the U.S. Wait a couple more fights. I agree. I still think, even if he doesn't sell out, he's gonna sell more tickets than Wilder, and the ripple effects his American debut will have if he goes in there and performs will make it one of the biggest debuts this country's seen in a while. So. Yeah, I don't even got Cash App yet, but when Wilder and Fury fight, and I have some more money to bet, we can bet. I'll take all bets. That's easy money. I agree. Riddick Bowe should come back and clean up the division. Yeah, I saw, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually saw Oliver McCall's manager at the gym the other day. He comes by the Heavyweight Factory a lot. See, now I'm watching Wilder Povetkin, Joshua versus Povetkin, and I'm in the 5th round. And one thing Joshua has done really good is he's smothering the shots of Povetkin. You know, he's smothering them, and then like right there, like he threw a right hand and he fell short, but his left hand was there to catch, and he took a half step back. So when Povetkin tried to counter him, he was able to catch it with his glove. And these are the subtle things with Anthony Joshua that people don't see. I'm watching Joshua Povetkin because I was gonna rewatch his fights anyway at my own time, but I wanted to revisit his last performance. The thing you fail to understand, Lawrence, is Wilder for the Wilder Stavern rematch and for the Brazil fight, his tickets were on Groupon. Hello? What the hell happened? Yo, did I freeze? Yo, can you guys see me? Fuck. I don't know why it froze.